Hikers who get lost sometimes report something strange. They hear distant laughter, soft gambling music drifting between trees, the smell of cooking rice where no smoke rises. One young man disappeared for 3 days in clear weather. When he returned, he said only this: "I wasn't alone and they were kinder than you." Then he refused to enter the forest again, because he said it no longer felt like trees. It felt like a border. Rafi was not superstitious. He was ambitious. A contractor hired to clear forest land for a luxury resort. He saw only opportunity, not sacred ground, not ancestral territory, not stories whispered by villagers. Empty land, he called it. The locals warned him gently. Some forests are not empty. Some belong to those who are not seen. Rafi laughed. Chainsaws roared, ancient trees fell. Workers began complaining of strange occurrences, tools disappearing, paths looping back to the same clearing, the sound of footsteps pacing them just beyond sight. Rafi blamed exhaustion. Profit requires denial. But there is a difference between ignoring folklore and breaking an agreement you never knew you signed. The Orang Bunian are said to live parallel to humans, same rivers, same hills, different frequency. They do not interfere unless disturbed, and Rafi disturbed everything. It wasn't a ceremony that opened the way. It was repetition, tree after tree cut, roots torn, land leveled. In traditional belief, when you enter deep forest, you greet it. You ask permission, you lower your voice, you acknowledge presence. Rafi did none of this. On the 7th night of clearing, he walked alone through the half-destroyed site. The air felt thick, quieter than it should be. Then he heard music, soft, melodic, not from a speaker, from the trees. Lantern light flickered between trunks. He stepped toward it. 1 step, 2. The ground beneath him shifted subtly, not physically, but perceptually. The forest became symmetrical, paths too straight, trees spaced too evenly. The broken stumps were gone. In their place stood untouched giants he had crossed. The boundary between realms is fragile. It can be thinned by ritual or by disrespect, by cutting without acknowledgement. Rafi weakened the veil. And when he followed the music, he stepped into a version of the forest that had never been harmed. That was the fracture. He entered without invitation. The Orang Bunian did not attack him. They welcomed him. Beautiful people dressed in traditional garments, faces calm, voices gentle. They offered him water that tasted sweeter than any he had known, food more satisfying than any meal. "You look tired," one woman told him softly. "You don't have to struggle here." Days passed, or what felt like days. In their world there was no debt, no deadlines, no hunger for expansion, only balance. And for the first time, Rafi felt peace. That is their danger. They do not terrify, they seduce through harmony. Back in the human village, only 3 days had passed. Search teams found Rafi wandering at the forest edge, barefoot, dehydrated, whispering. He returned physically, but something stayed behind. He could no longer tolerate noise, could no longer eat ordinary food without disgust. He spoke often of how it should be. Soon he stopped speaking entirely. Months later he disappeared again. No footprints, no struggle, just the faint smell of incense near the tree line. Villagers say the Orang Bunian do not kidnap randomly. They take those who break balance, not as punishment, but as exchange. If you destroy their home, they take something from yours, and sometimes what they take is you. Even now, when certain forest workers report hearing distant celebration when a tree falls, not mocking, not angry, just waiting. Because the Orang Bunian are not ghosts. They are neighbors, and neighbors remember. If you ever walk through a forest and feel like you are being politely observed, greet it, lower your voice, and never follow music that sounds too perfect. Some worlds are not meant to be entered, especially if you did not knock.